Hi students, welcome back. Today we are going to look at how to write a report on exercise 6 of the question paper for extended and core tier. So children, now let's look at the objective and purpose of the report or the writing. The objective purpose of the report is often to give information and suggestions to the reader. Reports are a mixture of fact and opinion, and the language you use will depend on the audience the report is for. A report may include headings. Children, so now let's look at the slide that will give you a glimpse of a recap of the content and the language that is used in the writing. So here we have the content and the language. The content here covers the relevance, such as whether the piece fulfills the task and the awareness of purpose, audience and register. Development of ideas, such as the detailed explanation provided. Language here covers range and accuracy, complexity of vocabulary and sentence structure. Inaccuracy, you have to focus on grammar, spelling, punctuation and text organization. So now we look at the language tips, the tips for writing a report. So based on the language, here you have to think about the audience that the report is for. The tone of the report should be formal. Use linking words which suit a formal type of writing, such as firstly, furthermore, or in conclusion. Use reported speech rather than direct speech. Next point, use correct spelling, punctuation and grammar. Okay children, so now let's move on to the format of the report. A report should be well organized and clear. Each paragraph should cover a different aspect of report. A report often follows 3 or 4 parts of structure. Here we have the title. The report should always start with the title. In the introduction, you have the first paragraph, that is the summary of the whole report. The question here is what, when, who, where and why, the purpose or the reason of the report. These are the questions that you have to answer in your paragraph 1. And moving on to the development, that is the second paragraph, you have all the findings to be written here. The question are what happened, what you did there, what you saw. All these has to be written in time order. Next we move on to the third paragraph of the report writing, where you have to write what you learned during the trip. Remember to use formal language and linking words. No use of abbreviation or words such as haven't, didn't and so on. Now in conclusion, that is your fourth paragraph, you have to give a solution or suggestion, the things which went well and suggestions for improvement. Okay children, now let us move on to the question. In the exercise 6 of the question paper, the topic is a report. Here we have 2 pictures of the recycling center. You can see here how the workers are trying to separate plastic bottles and other waste materials such as batteries, paper, metals and so on. Now let us see how we can write a report. So here is this question. Your class recently went on a trip to a large recycling center. Your teacher has asked you to write a report on the trip. In your report, say what you learned from the trip and suggest how it could be improved if it is repeated next year. Here are some comments from the other students in your class. So these are the prompts which will help you to get an idea to develop your writing. However, to score better marks, you need to use your own ideas. So I read the prompts to you. It was great to see what new products can be made out of the things we throw away. It made me much more aware of the importance of recycling. The third prompt is, the trip was too short. We did not manage to visit every part of the center. The last one we have here is, we could have learned just as much as in classroom. The question here says, write a report for your teacher. The comments above may give you some ideas. You can also use your own ideas. Your report should be about 100 to 150 words long. You will receive up to 6 marks for the content of the report and 6 marks for the language that you use. Now, on this slide, we have some guidelines used for candidates to help them prepare their answer and encourage them to focus on what the question is asking for. Once you have read through the question instruction, you will need to reread the comments provided, as these may give you some ideas. The purpose of the response is to write about the trip and make suggestions how it could be improved. Use formal linking words to show order. Give audience for the response is the teacher. The comments may give you some ideas, or you can use your own ideas. Next point, the response to this question needs to be in the form of a report for a teacher, so the register required should be formal. The number of words suggested is for guidance. Write about 100 or 150 words. This is for core, and when it comes to extended, you have to write 150 to 200 words. Paying attention to the guidance for word limits will help learners to plan their time in the examination and target the requirements of each question more effectively. So now, let's move on to the recap or the format of the report. Okay, before we start, let's move on to the recap of the format of the writing. You start with the title, and in your first paragraph, that is the introduction. In the introduction, you have to answer the questions as follows. What it is about, when it took place, and where it took place, and why. The reason or the purpose of the report. Okay, so these are the questions given here for you to write the first paragraph. And moving on to the second paragraph, where you should give details about the trip itself. We have the questions which says what happened, what you did there, and what you saw there. This has to be written in time order again. Your writing should be not narrative or like writing a story. To avoid that, you have to use formal language and connectives or linking words. In conclusion, that is the last paragraph, you have solution or suggestion, the things which went well and suggestions for improvement. Now, let us focus on the sample of the report. To write the sample of the report, you should have the introduction again, when, what, why, and the purpose or the reason. It is the summary of the visit. It can be, report writing can be also based on any kind of talk or even an event. You have the title here, a visit to the recycling center. To write this report, you should have introduction. Answer these questions: when, what, why, and purpose or reason. Last week, our class visited the recycling center in our town. The main reason for this trip was to make us more aware of the importance of recycling in our school and our local area. Now we move on to the second paragraph of the writing, where we have to give the details of the trip. We arrived at the recycling center at 9:30 a.m. and were met by the recycling center manager. First, we watched a short video about the impact of waste on the environment and how managing certain materials can be, especially to wildlife. Secondly, after the video, we had a tour of the center. Here we saw many plastic, glass, paper, and tin were separated and processed. Moreover, in the education room, we saw new products made from recycled materials, like pencils made from old newspaper and even clothes made from recycled plastic bottles. And on the third paragraph, we have the question, what you learned during the trip. It was great to see what new products can be made out of the things we throw away. From my trip, I found out that lots of things that I throw away can be recycled, such as batteries, light bulbs, and metal. Also, the video made me much more aware of the importance of recycling. And on the last paragraph, that is your conclusion, that is your paragraph 4, which includes solutions and suggestions. In conclusion, unfortunately, the trip was too short. We did not manage to visit every part of the center, which would have been even more interesting. So children, on the next slide, we have a homework for you. It is about a school trip. So students, let's get ready to take note of the homework task. So the question is, you recently went on a school trip. Your teacher has asked to write a report about the trip, and in your report say what you learned from the trip and suggest how it could be improved if it is repeated next year. Now we move on to the prompts. Here are some comments from your classmate. I don't think we really learned very much. The people we met were really helpful. I wish we hadn't had to do so many things. The last one is, the trip was good, valued. Write a report for your teacher giving your views. The comment above may give you some ideas, and you can also use some ideas of your own. Your report should be about 100 to 150 words long. So this question is basically for core. You will receive 6 marks for the content of the report and 6 marks for the language. So now I have a homework for the extended students. Your school recently organized a work experience day, and students spent 1 day working in shopping mall. Your teacher has asked you to write a report about the work experience day. So your question here is, in your report, say what you and your classmate learned during the day and suggest how the experience could be improved if it is repeated next year. Here are some comments made by your friends. So students who are doing extended will be given only 2 prompts for their writing. The prompt number 1 is, we were able to learn many skills from experienced employees. The second one is, many thought that it needs to be extended to at least 3 days next year. The question is, write a report for your teacher giving your views. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you can also use some ideas of your own. Your report should be about 150 to 200 words. So these are the word limits for extended tier. You will receive up to 8 marks for the content of your report and 8 marks for the language. Okay, students, I hope you found this lesson quite helpful. Bye for now. See you soon.